Hi everyone, man, what a whirlwind that it has been, and so I guess I need to give you guys a bit of an update. So if you watched my last video, you saw that a lot of crazy stuff was going on. We had the whole ordeal of just feeling absolutely defeated with the growing season out here, and then we decided, just to say the heck with it and just kind of say let's move on to somewhere else where we can do what we want to do. At the end of that video, I had told you that I had already found a property and we were looking at it, and I can tell you actually when I posted that video we had already moved on. That first property required a lot of different work. However, I did make an excellent connection with a realtor in that area, and she has been absolutely fabulous. The second home we looked at, so it's so bittersweet. We were in the process of actually getting offers in and about to be submitted. We were doing some counter offers back and forth on this property, and we were kind of just ready, gung ho, let's do this, let's get it done. And lo and behold, during the last minute, a cash buyer came in and basically took the property that we had been looking at. So that was pretty devastating and was causing us anxiety, even more so now, because we had to factor that aspect in of, okay, well, maybe if we find a place, then somebody might come in and place a different bid or something else, and we just don't get it anyway. Had my realtor go out and look at one more property for us, and this property is outside of a small-ish city. The city's about 15,000 people, I want to say, so decent size, enough to where we have all the amenities around us that we could ever want or need, but still kind of retains a little bit of a small town feel to some degree. We had her walk through the property, and though it wasn't our most ideal, home, we were really in love with that one that kind of fell through. We decided to go ahead because it was sitting on 3 acres of land, and it had some outbuildings already established on it, and it had plenty of open space to grow in if necessary. The other aspect that we liked too is it was not right in the heart of town. It was on the outskirts towards the countryside. So we knew that any of the possibility of some of the high crime stats that they have associated with that city would likely not trickle that far out. I'm not saying that it would never happen. You still have to be extremely smart, but I don't, think it would be as much of an issue as if you were living down where, sidewalks are easily accessible and people are, all around you at all times. So we went ahead, submitted the offer, and I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get back to everybody. I just wanted to make certain that the process is a little bit more solidified. And so at this point I can kind of breathe because we are fully in contracts. We have had the inspections done. We have done, the condition of premises reports and went through that whole spiel. And now the only thing we have left right now is just waiting for the mortgage approval with the loan and stuff like that, which is also another nail-biting anxiety trip of sorts. So I'm really excited to say that, we are definitely going to be moving, as long as everything pulls through. So please cross your fingers for us that all of that kind of goes through without a hitch. I was nervous because we had some larger payments with the sale of our land out here in Arizona to purchasing a car and stuff. So I'm hoping those things don't, absolutely scare their underwriting team from working with us, which it doesn't sound like it's going to, but you just never know in this day and age. On the other aspect of this, we had to deal with this place. As you can see, I have a bunch of crap behind me. I apologize. This is the only best place I have to film right now where the lighting's not awful and stuff. But anyways, I gotta tell you something that happened, and I don't think it could have came at a better time. And my mind is blown because I'm just so thankful and also grateful. Because who just picks up and says, I'm just going to leave and, I'm going to do something completely different and have things kind of work. I'm going to be straight with you all because I think that's the best thing. I was scared because my fear came from the aspect of I wanted this house. It was a little bit out of our price range. Not a lot more, but at least 20 grand more than what we'd started out looking at. And I was fearful because I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to swing this mortgage and then also the Arizona mortgage, because there's no way in hell that this property is going to sell that quickly. It's going to sit out here probably for months, you know, and we're just going to wait. And in worst case scenario, we're going to have to put it up as a rental for a property management company to deal with. And so anyways, I always had this fear looming because, you know, the economy right now is not great. And so there's just this huge, massive air of uncertainty with everything. I'm not the only one that talks about it. I'm fine, and I would have been able to float both mortgages without a hitch. But there's just, again, that fear of uncertainty of if you lose your job and then you're stuck with 2 mortgages, like what happens next? So that was such a huge looming fear and anxiety for me kind of going into this whole thing. But we did it anyways. And so anyways, I reached out, as I told you in my last video, I went ahead and reached out to a seller's agent to get this property listed for us. And so it took us a couple weeks back and forth to kind of get everything hashed out, for us to get things cleaned up, for us to get things fixed in here before we had him come on and list everything for us. And so he went to list it that day. He was working in the office, and he basically called us and was like, hey, you know, I've got somebody literally interested in this as soon as I hit the submit button. You know, can they come over and take a look today? And so we were like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, like, I guess. And so anyways, that gentleman came over, viewed the house. And then like later we ended up getting notification, and he was basically like going to give us full asking price in cash. You know, and wasn't going to ask for a whole bunch of stuff to be done. And I don't know how that could happen that quickly. You know, it was just pure luck. I think the story goes, the gentleman was in the office, you know, like while my realtor was in the process of getting that listed. And so, it just all worked out. And so I could like breathe a sigh of relief. It's been so weird these past couple days because everything has happened on the same day. Our inspection on the new property happened, and then a couple days later the property on this inspection happened, or the inspection on this property happened. And literally the same days after that we got our documents, and today I've heard from both of my listing and buying agent of the same documents to basically confirm that you're in contract on both of these and there's no getting out of it until closing. And I'm so excited and just so grateful, and it just again, my mind is just blown, and that anxiety is gone. I literally laid down this afternoon and slept for 2 hours because my brain has just been accumulating so much stress and anxiety with this whole thing, and thinking about the what ifs and what do we do, because we were literally in the process of, okay, this man is going to buy this house, and if that one falls through for some weird reason, or somebody comes in with a cash offer and buys it, you know, around our backs essentially or something, what do we do? And so I told you in the last video, I was like, I'm to the point, I don't care, we're just going to buy a trailer. And so we were to that point literally of starting to look at travel trailers, you know, looking around at some of our concessionaire companies to see who had mid-season openings still, and starting to plot and plan that. And Paul and I just had like just this like, we're okay to do it. I don't want to give that impression. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh no, you're going to be homeless. They were so afraid of being homeless again. Like, that wasn't the deal. It was just, it brings on a whole other set of anxieties when you live on the road full time. And I don't think I was ready for it. At least I wasn't ready for it under this current climate that we're in right now. Where there's a lot of hostility kind of going towards homelessness. And I think a lot of people, they think about the homeless person camping out behind the gas station or in the ditch and using resources and making junk. But unfortunately, when those regulations go into effect, they also affect people who are van lifers or people who just travel around and live on the road full time. And maybe they go from seasonal job to seasonal job. Those also affect us as well. So a lot of people don't think about that side of it. But anyways, I digress. I just wanted to make this video to let you know that I can breathe a little bit now. And it's getting messy. We've done a lot of packing and stuff, and we have a lot more packing to do. But gosh, guys, I just feel so great now, and I don't feel as scared, which is just such a huge sigh of relief. So thank you to everybody who's been either thinking about me, praying, good vibes, thoughts, whatever. Thank you so much. When we get to the property, if everything falls through and we kind of make it out there, we will definitely, do a brief little tour. The house is really old. It cosmetically needs a lot of update to it. It hasn't been updated probably since the 1980s, to be honest. What can I say? I live in a 1970s mobile home. But anyways, that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Again, I don't want to make this super duper long, but thank you so much, my friends. Take care. See you next time, hopefully for some exciting plans.